Hello, listeners, and I'm telling you what, I am just so super excited. But first, I'm going to tell you that I'm your host, Jacqueline, and this is the Corporate Happiness Show. It's the newest episode, and you're going to just love it because my guests are just super special, fun, and everything. I know we're gonna have a couple laughters. We met through an entrepreneurial group, St. Pete Girl Bosses, that we're both in. And from the moment I saw them, I thought we have to connect. And in their bio, as a little bit funny thing, they said they jumped out of the corporate life. And that's when I thought, like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a great, great conversation. So Alli and Ilene, thank you so much for being here and saying yes.
You are very welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
We love your energy.
Well, I love your energy too, and we're kind of like the cool trio of glasses too. So I mean, what can go wrong, right?
Right.
Right? What can go wrong? So anyway, so I think we should explain or get right into. So you have a 25 or more than 25 year of experience in HR and in corporate and all that juicy good culture stuff, and then you jumped into entrepreneurship. So tell me a little bit what you did. Tell me a little bit your experience back in time, or however long you are now entrepreneurs.
Can you remember?
I think I can. So I will go way back because I'm ancient, and I'm not, but I actually began my career in the nonprofit world in working with skill development for people who are underemployed. So it was kind of in training, development, and job creation. And from that, I connected with a company that asked me if I would leave that job and create an HR function for them. Now, back in those days, it was called personnel.
Okay.
Which, right, long ago and far away. And that was kind of borrowed from the Army or military model. And I switched it up pretty quickly to HR because HR, human resources, was at that point cutting edge. It was like the leading edge of talking about people as opposed to, inventory. And so I created an HR department for a manufacturing corporation, and I was it. It was me and the accounting person in the finance department who did payroll. And so I was able to actually from the ground up create an HR function the way I thought an HR function should be. Now I was very young and learned as I went, and then stayed in HR for 25 some odd years, maybe a little more, and always looked to keep the people in human resources and stay away from the perception and the practice of being all about policies and procedures and paper. HR departments that went before were kind of paper trained. I think that's your term.
Yeah.
Paper trained, but I always wanted it to be about the people because I always believed that that's where the business resides. That's how the business grows. It's through its people. So I evolved to the senior vice president of HR for a regional retail company. And at that point, I was the SVP of People.
Right. In fact,
love it.
We might have mentioned to you in our first meeting that when you became the head of that department, we literally took the door off of the department, and we became the people place.
We did.
Yeah, because of an open door policy, and there's that door, right? So you went ahead. I wanted to put that into the podcast and I mentioned it. Like, yeah, you actually went and took the door out. What was the reaction?
Well, it was meant to be a message. My cohorts or my colleagues in the executive suite thought I was some kind of crazy person that was going to do wild things with the company, when really it was just a message about let's make it really open door where people feel comfortable in coming in and having conversation that's about work.
Yeah, and finally people did come downstairs. We were on the first floor, and we wanted to just break all of the stigmas before about, we're going down to HR, or the doors are always closed in HR because they're working on some reorganization. And so we really became about the people. We became about taking the mission statement that was on a wall and putting some behaviors behind it and some skills and competencies behind it.
Make it a living document, not just a poster on a wall.
Yeah. In fact, we created, instead of we had a handbook. I haven't even thought about all this for a long time, but instead of your traditional handbook, she designed a handbook called the Handbook, and it just had a hand on it. And it's like we broke our own policies to be, to want to be heard. And we created a manifesto. Instead of a policy manual, we created a manifesto. And we even hid the core competencies behind something called the
Leadership Six Pack.
Love it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, it's this just really, it's modern, it's dynamic, it's liberating, it's fun. It's like what you're talking about. It's amazing. What was the change that happened in the company because of your approach of making this about people and comfortable and fun and like, humanize the whole process, whatnot? What was the change then in the company all the way up the ladder? What was the change?
That's where the change was.
It was so exciting. It was very exciting. And I have to say, I had the good fortune of working with a gentleman who's the CEO who got it from my perspective. He really understood. And so he spoke before the company when he was promoted to CEO, and he said, we have to remember we're a beer company, not a champagne company, meaning that we really needed to focus on the company. He was talking from a budget perspective, but we heard this beer company, not a champagne company, and created, working with our operating team, created what we call the Leadership Six Pack that Eileen mentioned. And so we worked with them to really identify, and with associates, the 6 core competencies, the model for being successful. And they were really quite simple, but they were very powerful. And we wanted this to be something that lived every day in the lives of our associates. And so we created the core competencies, and we had all the background, we had all of the information that people could read about what that meant, but we put them on coasters. So they looked
6-pack. You gotta have coasters, right?
So we had what did we have? We had
Courage Ale.
Ale.
That's Courage Ale.
We had Passion Brew. I mean, we put all Integrity Lager. We had all of the 6 core competencies. And what did this do? It caused the associates to have fun with it, right? They had it on their desk. They pinned these up on, and they were pretty. They were kind of fun. They pinned them up on their bulletin boards. It became something that people remembered and something that people talked about. And then we went through the entire associate experience, and we wove the Leadership Six Pack into it. So I stood up in front of a company meeting and took the review process, which not many people enjoy the performance appraisal process.
Yeah.
So I stood up in front of the organization and said, we're not going to do this anymore. It was time to talk about the process starting.
We ripped the forms. We just ripped the form.
Ripped the form. Major applause from associates and managers alike, because it was the managers who primarily didn't enjoy doing these. And we introduced the Leadership Six Pack as a way to look at people's performance,
but to talk to
and
people.
Their opportunity for growth.
Talk to people. That's what people want to do. They just want to be in on things. They want to have real conversations. There's such a fear and stigma around going to my performance review. There still is.
Yeah.
And so we're talking a very long time ago, though. We introduced some attributes that were different and exciting and fun, and wove them into every element, into hiring, into coaching and developing, into training, and even into having to say goodbye to somebody. It was done with dignity. It was done with pride.
And always with those 6 core leadership principles in mind that we talked about. So what difference did it make? Associates, hourly associates, kids in our retail stores that were high school students that were working for the summer or working part-time for a seasonal gig with us, they understood it.
Yeah.
They understood it. The managers understood it. It put it in a way that people could have conversations. And the performance appraisals were actually taking place. people were actually having conversations that weren't taking place before. So it really shifted the way managers and associates work together.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like, what comes to mind with how you're explaining this with the six packs and then, the coasters and everything, it's like, so you can give the people free pizza, and that's fun and yummy, whatnot. But what you did is you actually, you made it fun in a way that's not just yummy and then it's gone, but it's actually sticking, it stays there. And I also feel like that it really kind of included the people. People wanted to be part of that because it meant something. It was fun, but it was also meaningful. And it made the place where they spent so much time a better place, meaning that they were actually invested in, supporting what you're doing and taking part, because they also knew and they felt that actually it lifts the whole place up. And I like that, because free pizza, sure, yeah, that's like a 10-minute fun and then it's over, but what you did is like something lasting. And it's like, I mean, I just can imagine it's like the ocean, right? It's just kind of like the wave just
Beautiful.
then goes, right? And it lifts everyone, right?
Well, we wanted. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Go ahead. We do this. We piggyback all the time. We wanted to weave the values into the company, not only company values, but personal values, so that when you go to work, it's not, you don't have to change your personality. How you are with your family, how you are at home, how you are with your friends. You come in, certainly you have a job to do, but we wanted you to be yourself. So we took the street life of the company very seriously. We didn't create a new culture. We just acted, we magnified the street life of the company and who the people were. And then when we sat with people and shared this new manifesto and shared we had a blueprint. That was a fun project too. A beautiful project. And then it felt like, okay, I can live here too. It's not like I just work here, but I live
fun.
here.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Sometimes companies forget, not all, but some companies forget, and perhaps companies are really understanding the need now, given the world and the great resignation that's occurred. Sometimes companies forget that there are two sets of customers. There are the customers that purchase product or services from them, but there are internal customers as well. And so we didn't rename the department the Internal Branding Company. We really saw our mission as really understanding the internal customer, who are the associates, the employees in the company, and what is it that they need? What is it that turns them on? And instead of having a whip and a performance appraisal to gain what you're looking for, how do you inspire people? What is it that they're looking for? What do they need in order to be their very best? What makes them want to get up in the morning and be excited to go to work, and to really go in and act like an owner, which is what any corporation would say that they would like all of their employees to do, to go to work and act like an owner and make decisions that way.
We always said, think like a customer, but act like an owner. So if a customer were to walk into one of our stores, the goal was that they wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the manager and the associate, that there was a same level of passion, joie de vivre, whatever you want to call it. But that was the goal, that you couldn't tell who was in charge.
I like that. And I mean, that does not just come natural, because ultimately, it's like when you have employees that are valued, that are having fun, that it's like really a good time to work at a company, then you actually have that situation where there is really no difference when a customer comes in, but you have to create that. You can't just ask that from the people and say, that's what we want. You have to do something, about the company, the culture, the everything, so people actually want to do that, because at the end of the day, it's still your company, right?
Absolutely. So I'm going to jump in here just for a second.
I was going to say,
so one of the earliest things that we did is we sat down and we listed every touch point, every employee associate touch point, from The moment that they from the moment
Even the
they
website.
applied for a job, what does our employment website look like? How does it read? How does it feel? What's the language? What's the vibe? Does it match the company and what we're looking to achieve and accomplish here?
The lobby.
We looked at, what do people feel when they're driving in and they come into the front lobby? How does that feel? We redid the entire front lobby based on all of this as well, so it reflected our values and excitement around it. It was, what does the interview look like? What questions are asked? How are people treated during that process? How do we get back to them? And in every single point, from the cafeteria to the service recognition system that we put together, which was, we blew that out of the water and did something really fun with it. But we made sure that, and actually in the stores, we did something called casting call, where we actually interviewed and hired based on fit, right? People say they like to do that, but we actually did that. And then we trained, you find the right fit and then you train to it. It works really well in the store environment. But everything we did so that it wasn't just an automatic, it was everywhere that people went and everything they experienced.
I love it. And it's like what comes out for me, it's like you took HR and you just completely rewrote it. And
Totally.
you rewrote it so it's actually fun for you too. Because, without it being fun for you, you didn't just sit there and wait, for a change to happen. You said, well, wait a minute, and then it came from the heart through your creativity. And, but in reality, you rewrote the position for you, so you're having fun too, and it shows because you're having fun, meaning that the people have fun. Because HR, to me, I mean, I'm interviewing so many people in HR, and it just shows that it's like HR is worth gold. It's like they're like holding everything together. And right, and they need a voice. They really need a voice, because we speak with and about managers, with and about the leadership and whatnot, and then with and about the people. But HR is kind of like, what's coming at us is that they not only do they not have a voice, but they're also not really seen as a partner for everything. And what I learned with I'm not HR, so it's really interesting to me to find out that they're actually worth gold. They're the glue, they're the change makers, they're the rainmakers, yet they need support, they need a voice, and they need to be seen as partners. And what I love so much about what you're telling is, if any HR people are listening, to really take matters in your hands and don't wait. What does it mean for you? Because for you two, it meant this, but what does it mean for you, HR? What will make you happy? What would really, really, nourish your juices to just be this absolutely, undeniable HR person? Somebody in another podcast said, well, I just went and made myself a seat at the table. I just went and did it,
Absolutely.
And yes, and you're coming up also with this creativity. So what would you tell to an HR person that loves their job? Because if they don't, then that's a different story. But if love their job, and but had to step up to the next step because they see that the value and the possibilities and opportunities and capabilities of themselves as HR is huge. What would you tell them? How do you do that?
I would say step back. We always love to do offsites with our team. Step back and do your homework, because I had the good fortune of having a partner in the CEO who understood the value and appreciated the thought and the strategy behind what was being done. It looked fun, having leadership six-pack coasters, but there was strategy behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And so to step back and to put together your strategy and be able to speak to it, because not all of your colleagues are going to be willing participants.
Mm-hmm.
There will be those that want to have nothing to do with it. They enjoy the transactional side of HR, where it's just find me somebody. I have a job to fill, and they're focused on that because they have a need. Or they want HR to step in at the disciplinary procedure process.
Yeah.
But and they've enjoyed that, and that's what they've understood. If you want to make change happen, do your homework and step back and look at what the company needs, because the company is your customer.
Mm-hmm.
And so step back, and if you were a consultant but not on the payroll, and you were brought in to look at this company and interview your partners, interview in this case the heads of departments, what do you want? What do you need? Whether it's longevity from your associates, higher performance, whatever it might be, understand from them what they're looking for. It's like this in anything, even if you own your own business. When you have a customer, you look at, there is a problem and there is a solution, and I have it, and here it is for you. And so when you present your ideas, your strategy back to, you can speak to what their needs are. This wasn't just our idea of what would be fun or what was the right thing to do, although we did indeed have an agenda, right? But we brought our partners in and spoke to their needs. And when you do that, they're going to be more willing. You can also do things like Eileen has done in the past. You can speak to this, but if the entire corporation isn't ready to jump on board, find a willing partner within the company that will test things for you.
Yeah, one department. If the CEO says no, then go to the head of finance, or go to the head of purchasing, or go to the head of whatever, and test it, for free, and then come back with some beautiful results.
And be prepared to share results and take ownership of those results, because when you come up with these new ways of doing things, you want to be able to see and show that you have data that's showing that turnover is down. I mean, there are some basic metrics that are very important to track, and they still need to be tracked.
Absolutely.
And you need to report back and speak to those.
Many, many, many years ago, when I was going through some growing pains in management, I was the director of training and organizational design for a national women's retail company that is no longer around, right? It was Casual Corner. I mean, if you didn't shop there, then your mother did. And I was there for 10 years. And I remember getting promoted there. And my boss said to me, you cannot lift a finger for 6 weeks. You cannot design a training program. You cannot redesign a training program. You can't travel. All I want you to do for 6 weeks is to meet with every single manager in the home office. And then and you can go to the field, but you have to just meet with leadership. And that's when I learned the value of how can we help? What's missing?
I like that. Yeah.
And then after 6 weeks, I was able to put together a training and a organizational design plan from the top down. And we had 8 divisions, I think it was, because I understood the goal, the challenges, the objectives, the tasks, and everything to support it. But it wasn't until I showed my human side, and went in and said, what can we do for you? What's missing? What do you want more of? What's not working?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like it. I love everything what you're saying, and I know it's going to help so many HR people, because I tell you what, it's like, even though HR has a little bit an aftertaste, every HR person, and through these focus groups that I'm holding, and talk with HR people, what's needed and all that kind of stuff, because of this big shift that's happening, I learned that actually HR people, they really love what they're doing. They really, really do. And there's some like kind of superheroes, and it's like, because you don't know what to do, give it to HR, right? And then they have, a lot of times it's an aftertaste, but yet they're there every single day, and they're working, and they're kind of like also shifting through COVID, whatnot, like into more like of a therapy session and listening and all that. And so, yeah, big kudos and celebration to HR people. And I know what you just said, these tips and tricks will really, really uplift them. And I feel like that's a very, very worthy cause to uplift HR people and tell them you can actually change your job. And what you just did, you kind of gave them like a roadmap in how to at least get started. So what do you think happiness at work, really? This is the corporate happiness show. So let's bring in that big word, happiness. So what do you think? Because pizza doesn't do it anymore. Ping pong tables doesn't do it anymore. Things changed. what do you think now with this big shift? What is, and it's for everyone different. For some it's money, for some it's time off, for some it's a promotion. But in general, what are people looking for so they can actually really say, I'm happy at my work?
If I may,
Please.
I think that I call it the logic train. Okay, if you're in on stuff, if you feel good about what you do and who you do it with, you'll bring that out into your work, right? Many years ago, I read a book called Contented Cows Give Better Milk. All right. And they still do. If you take,
they still do,
care,
yes.
And it's proven. I mean, if you take care of the cow, it'll give healthy, good milk. Okay.
Yes.
If you take care of your associates, if they're in on things, if they feel valued, whether they're home, because many of us are working from home, or at the company, people want the same thing. They want to know that they're heard, that they're listened to, that they are achieving their own personal goals, that somebody has their back, has their career. There's a succession plan in place, whatever you call it. Again, we like a more modern nomenclature. But I think people want the same thing. They want to be engaged. They want to feel good. You know, we're working with a lot of Fortune 500 companies who are doing things for their associates at home in the evening. And we're providing some experiences for them. Here they are in the comfort of their own living room or kitchen, and we're engaging with them on Zoom.
And their family.
And their family. And so what's the message behind that, right? The company is paying for that session. The company wants you to feel good at home.
Yeah, I absolutely. And I'm thinking that these times they require a different management outlook. There are various generations that are in the workplace right now.
Oh, yeah.
And those different generations may have different things that are of value. And there was a day when managers could be all the same way with all the associates, or so they thought, and it would all be okay. But really, even then, I think it required really getting to know the individual and what that individual's needs are and what makes them happy. There's no one rule, right? But there's that authenticity between a manager and an associate, coworkers, teammates, where I think what makes them happy is when people really want to get to know who they are. Yeah. And want to be with them and help them and let them be successful.
That's kind of like what came out when I was listening and whatnot. It's not that you focusing on how can I make my people happier. It's like, how can I, or not even how, just go do it. Get to know your people and what they really want. And is it by meeting them in person? That will be best. Surveys, there's different ways that you can do it, or hire someone that can actually do that. And it's not so much about happiness, it's about getting to know your people and what they need and what they want, and then make that possible as much as you can, because that creates that satisfaction in people saying, I love working here. And you actually just created a stage, of happiness without even focusing on happiness. Because if you focus just on happiness, I think that's what happened for a while there. Playfulness, happiness with the pizza and the ping pong tables. I keep bringing that up, but that's not it, because people change, values change, especially through the pandemic and whatnot. So I love that. So let's dive into, so you jumped, and literally I saw that in the email, you jumped out of corporate life into what? What do you do now? I know you touched base a little bit on it. So tell me more about it.
Yeah, we kind of think of ourselves as serial entrepreneurs. So we jumped the corporate world to, we looked at our own skill set. We did what we told a lot of people to do: find your passion, find what you love. And we loved our careers. We had successful, happy careers, enjoyed it. But it was time. The corporation that I was in, Eileen had left a little bit before, really shifted. The culture shifted significantly.
It was time to go.
And it was time to go and to find the next thing. And so Eileen and I jumped, and we bought a bed and breakfast, a dilapidated old thing that hadn't been operating for years, renovated it, branded it. We put a lot of our skills in. We love to market. We love marketing.
Did all of our own marketing.
We love design, so we did all of our own design. We love hospitality. That's where she began her career. And so we love to cook. We love to garden. And so we opened an inn, and we were very successful with that inn. And we won Best Place to Work. Best Place, well, that was the other place. Best Place.
You got the wrong award.
Best Inn on Cape Cod.
Boston Magazine named us Best Inn on Cape Cod 2 years in a row.
Congratulations.
After
wow.
1 year. Yeah.
And then we were successful with that, ran it for 6 years, and we knew financially with our business plan that it was a good time to sell. And so we sold it in 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Took a long time to close.
And jumped again.
And jumped again to what we're currently doing. And what we're currently doing is
we're founders and owners of the Zest Zone, and it's a lifestyle brand, and we are obsessed and committed to helping others find their best, zestiest life, and we do it through natural solutions and essential oils, and it's all about finding the sweet spot in life, and we start with the same question we've been asking for many years: how do you want to feel?
Yeah. How do you want to feel?
You?
Yes.
How can I help you, and how do you want to feel? And
That's
so
wonderful.
we're having a blast.
And those may seem like very different things. Running an HR department, being the head of culture for a company, running an inn and doing what we do now. But I think the common thread is we like to take care. We like to bring out the best in people.
Mm-hmm.
And we felt we did that at work, and we felt we did it at the inn, and we feel like we're doing it now.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what it really boils down to, it's like the highest potential, right? And that's not necessarily just the highest potential of like how much can you produce, as a worker or whatnot. It's the highest potential in that. How do you want to feel? How do you want to think? What kind of life do you want? What are you doing because you feel like you have to? And what are you creating because of it? And how could you change that? And so the highest potential is really like what you to have been showing, through your careers and whatnot, but it's always with this open heart, right? You're like, okay, our passion is this, we're really good at that, we like this, highest potential is this, and on the other note, it's like what's really coming out is like everything you two are doing is always for the, for the big picture, for the world, for people, it's very open-hearted, and that is something that I think any leader can take from this conversation, because it doesn't matter what you're doing. When you're a leader of a company and you're working with people, then it's for the higher, for the higher potency, for the higher picture, bigger picture,
Absolutely.
to make the world a better place by helping your employees or helping, so, right?
You're speaking our language, and right now, as one of our colleagues said to us this week, the global human family is hungry for love.
Oh, yes.
Okay, and we love the word love. We have never stopped using the word love at work.
Yes.
And it's time to start thinking with your heart and not with your head. Yes. And the leaders who do that will go so much further.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you look in this big shift, there's you can actually literally see that. And I speak to leaders and employees and whatnot all day long about this. And you can literally see the people that are saying, you know what, this is an interesting time. It's like really, and they have these open hearts and they're succeeding. Because success is being rewritten, success is not just how much money and how big the company is. Success
Absolutely.
is being rewritten. How happy are your people? If they're really, really happy, that is success right there, because it will take you far and wide. And I see the pattern, and I'm an energetic, light work or whatever you want to call me. Everything is energy for me. And it's clear the frequency is really, love and feeling for people, open-hearted business. And is it in private life or in business life, corporations, the people that are leading their lives and themselves with open hearts are the ones that are actually looking at this shift and saying, that's really great. We're successful. We're doing it. We're having a happy place. And that's also where all the people go to work, or a lot of people go to work too, right? Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I just thought of a question for, or something to ponder for our HR friends who might be listening to the podcast. When asking, which I think is a good thing to do, when you ask people that work in your company, what do you love about working here? The number one answer that we always found was the people.
Yes.
Right? It was always the first answer. It wasn't, oh, this, you know, this insurance plan is fantastic. Or I love
the pizza.
The pay scale
Yes.
is terrific. It's always the people.
Yes.
Right? So what has happened over the last 2-3 years with the way that businesses have had to pivot with regard to work and having people work from home and not be together? What do you do to bridge that? What do you do to bridge that? Because we know people have had this opportunity now to think, do I really want to do what I was doing? Because the people part is not there, right? I'm not going to work and hanging out with my colleagues, knee to knee, figuring things out. Now I'm on Zoom in business meetings, but what can companies do? What can HR do to try to facilitate something that still incorporates the people side of the connection? That's what's important to people, I think.
I think so
It's not
too.
the boss. It's
No.
not the boss. It's not the pay scale. It's your colleagues and the people that you're working with.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I do. I always agree with you.
Yeah.
Well,
So I think it's interesting. I don't want to go
That's
back
good.
into HR
No,
and figure
but
it
it's
out,
also like, I think it's really good what you just said. What came to mind is like, yeah, you say, so what do you love? And they say, I love the people. And then when you say like the insurance plan, like you say, they have a great insurance plan, and it's a good boss. It's a really good boss. He cares, or she cares, or whatnot, or they care. But I love the people. You don't use the word love really anywhere else, you know. And
Right.
so that's a great point. Thank you for that, and the question too. I love that. So let's go back a little bit. And so essential oils, and you say you give sessions and whatnot. So how does that work?
Well, it works in many ways. We do private sessions over Zoom because we have people all over the country, even some international customers as well. We do one-on-ones with people. We go to them if it's locally here in Florida. We do travel, but mostly now we live here in St. Petersburg. So we have events. We'll meet people we'll meet company, like employees might gather, or we'll do special events for the St. Pete girl bosses.
I know, right?
We have we have an event called Kitchen Lab that we do right here in our own kitchen, where we showcase the power of essential oils in mixology. Because the oils are certified pure, tested grade, rigorously tested, many of the oils can be ingested, and they're all therapeutic. So we show people how to up-level their health, their physical, emotional health, starting in the kitchen by creating beautiful drinks, beverages, cocktails,
cooking as well,
smoothies, juices, coffees, teas. And so we open the door for people in the kitchen to really improving their health.
I love it. And it includes the family, like you say. So if a company says, ooh, I want to do that for my employees, how can they find you? How can they say, okay, I want to do that with you?
Easy.
A couple of ways they can find us on Instagram. Our Instagram is the Zest Zone, and they can send us a direct message. We can set something up with companies, employees. We can do it on Zoom. We can do it locally. We can do it in person. But we also have another third-party platform we work with that works with Fortune 500 companies and others. It can be any size company that they then have this really cool program that they've put together where we're able to come in and do training for their employees after hours. Online.
I just love that because it creates so much goodness. And you know what? It really shows people that the companies care. Because
Absolutely.
if I can do an after hour, after work, home thing with my family, and learn something that's good for us. It's educational, and you guys are just fun, you know. So, and it's like, just I feel that people really will see, actually my company cares, because I can choose that, right? It's like they come and they choose that and they say, I want to do that. And also you can include the whole family and whatnot. How
That's right.
cool, how
That's
cool
right.
is that, right?
Yeah. And what we bring to the party is our background in people.
Yes.
And in life coaching and business coaching. So in the middle of a conversation, if somebody's talking about wanting to feel more energized, and then we dig a little bit, and we talk about, where are you not feeling energized? Is it at home? Is it at work? We can dive in a little bit deeper. So we have a little bit more intuition about that, and we can bring that to the party, which is always, it's beneficial for them. I mean, it's certainly great for us, but if we can touch another life, and provide some guidance, we love that.
I know, and you have the background of corporations and everything, and HR and all that. So I feel like it's like coming full circle for you, what you're doing now, because you know how to help. You've been there, done that, you've seen it, right? And so I mean, what you two are doing is just amazing. Congratulations to all of that. So we are actually, I'm looking at the time, we could just keep talking days and days, right?
We'll have a sleepover.
I know. Yeah, let's do a sleepover podcast episode. I'd love that, with essential oils and talk about life and happiness.
There's an idea.
Yeah.
I know. Let's do that. So anyway, but thank you so much for saying yes to being on a show, because I was really hoping that you two are saying yes. So thank you.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you. You let us walk down memory lane, and it was really fun. I'm not going to go back into HR, but I do love it. I love that side of the business, and you are right. HR people are the glue. They can actually be what leads a company to success.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Dynamic, you know, and kind of forward thinking and whatnot. And that's how everyone that I've met so far in HR and talked with is just like, wow, these are just so powerful people. Yeah. So I like that a lot. So thank you so much. And to all the listeners, I hope you're going to connect with Alli and Ilene. I hope you're going to check out what their programs and sessions and everything. And HR people, you know, we celebrate you. I'm really, really grateful that you exist and that you are that super glue, you know. Let's not just say glue. Super glue. You make it, and you can really do that. So, and I hope you feel the uplift, and we're rooting for you. So thanks so much for tuning in.
Take care. Thank you so much.